Lesson 7.7 is our last lesson in the chapter. So remember, we're talking about proportions. We're going to apply it to scale drawings and models. In example 1, you are talking about a map. So here is your ratio right here. 1 inch is to 95 miles. We're going to make that half of our proportion. And we want to know that if on a map, this map, Boston and Chicago are 9 inches apart, so how far are they really in real life? So the 9 inches, is that going to go on top or bottom? It's going to go on top, and we don't know how far in real life. So there's our proportion. Cross multiply. X is 9 times 95. In your calculator, you can figure that out. And Boston and Chicago are approximately 855 miles apart from each other. So here's where proportions are very useful. Example 2. We have another model or a scale. We have a fighter jet. This H cannot spell. This should be jet. And it is 4 inches long, but we do not know the scale. You know the model length and you know the actual length of the jet. So to find the scale, this is not the scale factor. Scale factor, you have to have the same units, like inches, inches, yards, and yards. To find the scale, we're just going to put the model length over the actual length. And we want to reduce it down to where it's 1 inch to so many yards. So we're going to divide top and bottom by 4. And we find that 1 inch represents about 3.2 yards. That's our scale. For letter B, how many times is long? For this, you have to think about scale factor. In other words, our units here are very different. For every inch, it represents 3.2 yards. So in order to figure out how many times larger the real jet is from the model, we have to make the same units. So it's a lot easier to convert this 3.2 yards into inches. Okay, so you'll have to remember from algebra how to do that. We're going to use dimensional analysis. We've got yards. First thing we want to do is change yards into feet. So in 1 yard, there are 3 feet. And I put these on bottom so that they will cancel out. Okay, now I've got feet, but my scale was in inches, so I need 1 more. And there are 12 inches in a foot. So these cancel, and now I have inches, which is what I had over here. So what I need to do is 3.2 times 3 times 12. And that gives me 115.2. That is how many times longer the real jet is from the model. Last example. Amber is making a scale model of the classroom, and she's using a specific size of paper. We want to choose an appropriate scale. This does not mean what you would actually choose. It's just an appropriate scale to maximize the paper you're using. So, the actual classroom is 20 feet long, and the paper is only 11 inches. So if we divide that, we get about 1.81, and it goes on forever. So we're going to round that to about 2. In other words, for every inch, you have 2 feet. So the scale, 1 inch represents about 2 feet. There's the scale. Now we can determine the scale's dimensions. So 1 inch is 2 feet. We've got 20 feet. Divide it by 2. It's 10 inches long. And then we've got 32 feet. Divided by 2. 16 inches wide. You are now ready to conquer Chapter 7 test review.